this week's Up for Debate, a lot of fun. I really particularly loved it. Well done, Miss Alexis. This was a fantastic selection. Tough to narrow it down to the three players for sure, because there are plenty of guys exceeding expectations without question. But you went with Matt Zuccarello, Victor Rask, and Kaapo Kähkönen. Why did you choose those three?
I think because when you look at the way their seasons unfolded, obviously Kaapo's young, so that was an easy one for me because you never know how a young goalie is going to perform, especially the netminder position can be tough to come into the league as. Victor Rask, obviously pretty unnoticeable last season and was, on lower lines last season, so kind of in a new role and performing differently this year. And with Zuccarello, he dealt with an injury when he came onto the team. I think there's higher expectations for him, didn't really provide those, could have been because of the injury, but either way, he's playing a lot better this season. So it was tough to narrow it down. And I saw some people mentioning, what about Greenway? What about Hartman?
Right.
So that's a good problem to have, Wild fans, that a lot of guys are exceeding expectations. But yeah, those were the three that I went with. And I even had a tough time deciding which of the three I thought was exceeding expectations. Who did you go with, Jesse?
A good and like a sad thing, right? Like, we have no expectations for
I know. Sorry
to
last year's team, but this team is really doing good.
No, I thought they were great. I mean, I had a tough time. Kaapo for me was out immediately because I'm like, no, I expected him to do well. Like I talked about that all offseason. I'm very excited that he has risen to the standards that I had for him. And I think that a lot of people had for him, and he's really proven everybody wrong, even exceeded, I guess, to an extent, a little bit of those, but really he's met the bar for what I had thought he might be. Tough to go between Matt Zuccarello. Originally I had done Mr. Victor Rask up for the task, but that's because the bar was on the ground, if not below the ground. And that's not to be
point. Right. Like, how do I say this nicely?
That's not to be mean, but there just wasn't anything there. He didn't set anything for me. There was nothing impressive. So it was easy for him to hurdle that, right? He just had to step over it. So I'm going to switch my initial answer that I had on social, and I'm going to say Matt Zuccarello for the fact that he had pressure to live up to when he came back. I mean, he was slotted in, Matt Zuccarello, when he comes back, he's got to be in the top 6. He's got to do this and that. So he had that on his back, and he didn't have a great year last year, right? So it's not that I expected much out of him this year, but there was pressure for him coming into the season because they were so desperate for somebody to come in, shake this team up once he got back from injury. So I'm going to shift gears and say Matt Zuccarello is my player that exceeded expectations in a very good way.
I'm glad you went with him because I went with Rask, and I was also kind of torn between Rask and Zuccarello, and same reason you kind of gave for Kähkönen. And I was kind of like, we saw what he could do. So, we know he's good. He was goaltender of the year in the AHL. But just his youth was the kind of the talking point for me there. But yeah, I went with Rask, and just because we didn't know when he came onto this Wild team what he was really capable of. He came from his former team with not great stats. He comes onto the Wild, gets slotted into these low lines, third and fourth line, and gets scratched a lot. And when he is playing, he's not very noticeable. And I think Wild fans are pretty much in agreement that of the big trades that happened last year for the Wild, that one was the biggest flop coming out of last season, right? I think most people would say that, especially seeing the way Nino has performed over in Carolina. So I think that for me was the reason that seeing the way he's played game after game, he is now a big part of this team, especially that first line who's been really successful. Part of that is because of Victor Rask. And so the bar was on the ground, and there was basically no expectations there because we didn't even know really what he was capable of, what his ceiling was. Right. And just seeing the way he's played this year, I'm now thinking, wow, I never would have expected this out of him. And for that reason, I kind of went with him. But yeah, a great problem to have, Wild fans. And I agree with people who said Greenway, he had high expectations from the coaching staff coming into the season. Obviously, they asked for changes from him in the offseason, and I think he went through with those, and it's showing in his game. Hartman is another great one because, again, kind of similar to Zuccarello in the sense that, we thought he might have some potential, probably not as much as Zuccarello, but he's been a big part of this team as well. I think you could even argue Foligno maybe has kind of stepped into a bit more of a scoring role on this team. So there's a lot of arguments you could have made for this one. But yeah, I went with Rask for mine. So.
I mean, you know what? I'm going to say it too. Kirill Kaprizov has exceeded my expectations which is impossible, right? Like, you knew he was going to be this good player, but like I had mentioned way back a couple episodes ago.
Don't worry.
I know. seeing him that day one at training camp, I was like, he's even better than I imagined. Right. So it's like, in a sense, he's kind of even exceeded everything that I thought he'd be capable of, because he's still a rookie and he's still a guy that shouldn't be performing like he is against these men in the league. So certainly Minnesota Wild in general exceeding my very low expectations that I generally.
And I want to come back to this debate, like at the end of the year. I would love to see these same three players. How are we feeling about them once the year ends? Are they still performing? Are they? So Bardown Beauties fans, hold us accountable for this. We want to come back to this conversation in mid-May.